This is the monthly tech meet at Ronnie's Garage for the Rolls-Royce Owners Club of Southern California. Okay.
It's going for an aftermarket record thing.
Now, if you look at this shaft, it has a taper down here too. There's another bearing similar to that in this lower plate, and there's actually a pointer right here, and it's indexed on the bottom of that thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Understand some things like that. Yes, that is a left-hand drive.
All right.
Yes, Magnesium.
Interesting.
Yes.
Like that piece of metal in there.
That's not a...
So there's your bottom seal too. There's a seal down there. That's the pitman shaft seal. There's a groove on this housing that has an O-ring that seals against this. Just as there's a groove on that upper plate that has an O-ring that seals against here. Okay. And there's your index pointer.
Oh my God.
All right, now we'll get this main piece out with all the needle bearings.
Understand some things like that. Yes, that is a left-hand drive.
All right. There we go.
The stem that goes down to the bottom of the shaft on it, fits in there, and it's a rubber bushings that hold it in place with some clamps.
Okay, I'm going to tap the end of this just to get it off. That's a back plate. You see there's another O-ring there that seals against the housing. Okay. And
it was there 1 week. And now
there are 1 million needle bearings in here. I'm going to move the trash.
Very good. It was incredible. Just one guy. And he solved it in just that short time. His autobiography is very interesting. If you like Merlin's and things like that.
Oh man, I did it. Okay, this is the first time ever. Okay, here's the last washers and that other thrust bearing, but I want you to look in here. There is a bearing case full of needle bearings. Okay, normally they come flying out.
All over the place, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. And if you look at, I can do it on the bench now. I don't feel so bad. The back has the same thing. See, it's full of needle bearings, and they normally come out like that.
Oh my God.
Wow, they all stayed.
But they are a precision bearing. They're great bearings.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So what I'll do now is I'll take my trusty magnet and try not to lose too many of these. Once you start pulling them out, they're all the same size, fortunately, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up.
So they don't develop unique wear patterns.
Well, I think they distribute the load very evenly.
Yeah.
And they keep it in a
constantly moving.
Right.
Yes, it's a really good material for one of my articles.
You never went this far, did you?
No.
Wise man.
My camera because I knew you were. I'm going to take pictures.
Oh, there goes one. Escapee.
Right down there.
I see it. We'll get the last of these, and I'll go fishing. All right. Beautiful. Not one hit the ground. I'm amazed. Makes up for that fuel leak.
And if you do lose one, what happens then? You can get those anywhere? Or?
Oh, I got some parts.
You can.
I got some parts. Okay. The box is pretty much all the way apart. There is one more piece. You split it here. There's another O-ring in here. I'm not going to do that now. But I will when I put it back together, because it could be a source of a leak. So now we're going to look at this valve. And this is the Silver Cloud 2. The Silver Cloud 3 is different. It does not have these plungers and springs. So we'll move it up here. There's 4 of these plungers and springs right here. And if you notice, one piston's bigger than the other, so they go on a specific side of the valve body. There's another washer. And there are also pins to hold them apart a certain distance. And they only go in, there's 4 holes for those, so those go in there. Here's another spacer washer. You saw one fall off on that side. Don't mix these up. And then here is the spool valve. And even these washers, they're brass or bronze, and they allow it to float a little bit. This thing moves back and forth a couple of thou max. And what happens is you have high pressure coming in, I believe in here, and yeah, it comes in the center. And when you move this one side or the other, you can see these upper and lower ones are offset, one side or the other of that. This moves a little bit, allows a high pressure fluid to go to that port and feed it to the steering ram to help the steering, move one way or the other. Here's the inside. Very precise fit. If you get too much clearance in there, it won't work at all. So you can't sand them. Don't ever take sandpaper to anything like this. To make them move better, Scotch-Brite is about as far as I'll go with this. And Scotch-Brite is like an abrasive pad that's not too abrasive. Now these washers, if I can get this, get rid of these. Hi, Bill. These washers are all numbered. This one is, they're usually, the valve is numbered V. So you got V3 and V4, and you see there's a 3V right there. So if you put it back together, you got to remember that the 3 goes towards this end, and the 4, which will be this one, 4V, 4V.
No, not yet.
Get it?
Yep.
Goes on the outside.
Do those parts wear need to be replaced, or are they?
No, they don't normally need to be replaced.
I'm still thinking.
This should have a V4 on it also.
Yeah.
The corresponding shim washers will have the same number as these tapered bronze washers. But always make sure when you take it apart that they do. Because if I've worked on it before and had to center it, I will use other washers and they may not be numbered the same. There is another shim washer way on the other end, which goes up against here, and we saw the one that was out here. So what these spacer washers do is help keep this in the proper position. These are fit inside the valve body, so it's precise for this. These are to center it all with it. So what happens when you're turning the steering wheel and you're at the center position, which is that tight spot, which should only be maybe a ½ inch span on the dial there, is when it's applying pressure to move this one way or the other. Once you get past that, especially in those loose sections, there's no pressure on theirs because it's already been pushed, first of all, and it'll hold it over there. But when you come back to center, it centers it. So that's a Silver Cloud 2 steering box. Any questions?
To repair this, what are you going to do? You
What I'm going to do, because I found that smoking gun with that washer, is I'm going to clean it all up, put all new seals on it, put it back together and adjust it properly. And I'm almost 99% sure it'll work fine. Because like I said before, there's very rarely a problem with these. The Silver Cloud 3, they got rid of these. They got rid of these spring things, and they just had spring washers, which fit into something like this.
Belleville washers?
Yeah, a little bit of a...
Okay, Belleville.
Right. And what that would do is they boosted the pressure on the pump because the Silver Cloud 3 has much easier steering. But it had another problem that came along with that, is they'd get a shudder in the steering. And a lot of times there's too much clearance in this. There were some Band-Aid fixes where you restrict the orifices going to the ram. Yeah, and then they had the step-down hose. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie.
All right.
Great.